We've got the Rams position battles that are yet to be won and who's going to win them. And Michael Brockers, Brock is with us as always to talk all things Rams football and what it's like to go through the preseason process with the Rams. Great stories on Aaron Donald and Sean McVay. That's coming up next on the Rams Squad Show.
Whose house? Rams house. It's the Rams Squad. Sponsored by Gametime. Everything Los Angeles Rams every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Here comes the Rampede. The Rams Squad Show starts now.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Rams Squad Show. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI. I do NFL radio for Westwood One. On today's show, we're talking roster, talking Rams, getting closer and closer to that September 7th opening day matchup against the Texans. And as always on the Squad Show, I am joined by a Rams legend, the 14th pick for what was the St. Louis Rams, became the Los Angeles Rams, played for this franchise for many years, 28 sacks in his career. I want to ask if you ever looked up his stats and how much he does a deep dive on his history with the Rams. But the great Michael Brockers is joining us. We call him Brock. If you smell what the Brock is cooking, I don't know if anyone's ever done that, but the great Michael Brockers joins us, and we're going to get into some Rams talk. We got 2/3 of the Mob Squad. Gavin Carlson has no internet. He's moving up north, so we're going to hold it down. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season's around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Okay, Brock, so a lot has happened the last 2 days of Rams football. Matthew Stafford has practiced for a couple of days. I think just the fact that he's put together 2 consecutive days has to make Rams feel pretty encouraged. But just kind of what's your read? What's your feel on the Stafford situation right now?
Like I said earlier, man, I wasn't really worried. You know, I know a lot of people had a lot to say about Matthew Stafford not practicing and, you know, the Rams kind of holding back the reins on Matthew Stafford. But, you know, seeing him go, you know, a couple of weeks before the season, seeing him out there just rip it, man, he can spin the ball, bro. He's just a natural thrower of the ball. Like I watched him, you know, the little clips that you can see, and he just puts it on the receiver. I seen a little concept with him and Devontae, and you know he hit Devontae right after the break, and I'm like, bro, this is what we want as a Rams fans, you know, as a Rams nation or whatever. This is what we wanted to see. I think Matthew Stafford is ready to go. I don't think he'll play in this preseason game. I mean, I don't know how McVay usually will do it, but maybe give him a series just to see how he is, or, you know, really hold the reins back. I mean, he's like I said before, he's proven enough. So if he does or doesn't play, it doesn't really matter to me, as long as he shows up week 1 versus the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, he is a made man. He has nothing to prove. He won't play. I mean, typically, Sean McVay doesn't want to run that risk anyway. But I do think, hey, the more snaps he takes, the more chemistry he builds. I think for me, it's just, hey, we're not going to truly know what Matthew Stafford looks like until it's in a regular season game, how he gets up from that first physical moment, whether it be a sack, whether it be a bump, and he gets up once and kind of dusts it off. I think all Rams fans are going to be at ease. But I want to ask you, Brock, though, because your QB your rookie year was Sam Bradford. And I mean, just what's the vibe like for how that quarterback is treated? I mean, how is QB1 treated during training camp, during preseason? He got the red jersey on. You can't even blink at the guy. You can't even breathe on the guy, right? I mean, they're treated very differently than the rest of the squad, right?
For sure. You know, at practice, you can't hit him. You can't even get close to him at practice. You know, it was crazy because one year when McVay, his first year there, we were practicing and very intense practice. And, you know, JG, he throws a pick, you know, and then I end up like getting a sack. And, you know, it's one of those ones where it's kind of questionable. And I was like, sack, you know, and he throws a pick and he starts to run. Like he starts to run after the receiver. And I don't feel like I really blindsided. If you hear it from him, he'll say, oh, yeah, he blindsided me. I was just like, I gave him a little nudge just, to tell him like, hey, you can't, you got to have your head on the swivel out here. And he went to falling all over the place and things like that. And we got in, Sean McVay stopped practice and we got into a scuffle and all that. So QB1 is somebody that you cannot touch as an NFL franchise, especially if he's your franchise guy. A guy like Stafford, who's played a ton of years in the league and, he's coming off a back, injury or whatever. So, the guys really are taking care of him, So for me, man, QB1 always get treated like a king around the building just because, if you're a good team, you need a quarterback and you don't want to mess up your QB1 for sure.
Yeah, and it's got to be kind of counterintuitive for you guys because you want to unleash that beast. You got that fire. You want to win your rep, and then it's like you got to go red light. I mean, it's a stop right away. You pump the brakes, and that's a wrap. But I mean, at some point, it's like you got to get in your work, so you're ready for that first game too, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's what you're so, ready for, you're rearing for is like, man, like I haven't been able to hit a QB all training camp. I've had to stop before I get there or, make sure I don't, put my hand or helmet in the way of the pass. So when you can, go live and you can actually hit somebody, man, it's just a wonderful feeling. So I know the defensive line, deep linebackers, guys who blitz off the edge, or they can't wait to really hit somebody for real.
Yeah, and honestly, we're going to have all year to talk about everything about this Rams team, who's going to make these rooms, this roster, how it's going to play out. But honestly, anytime I get a player like Michael Brockers to talk to, I just have so many questions about just the lead up to what this franchise has become. Because I think, Brock, what makes it so unique to have your perspective is you've seen both Rams organizations, the St. Louis Rams and the Los Angeles Rams, what this Rams team was and what it has become. First, I want to ask you, though, honestly, is like, Jeff Fisher versus Sean McVay. I mean, what is the biggest difference between playing for those guys and kind of how did that impact your career, just transitioning from them?
Jeff Fisher was a wonderful coach, man. He was a wonderful coach to play for. He was a player's coach. You knew when you came into the building, he was going to allow you to be yourself. He was going to allow, the building just to be itself. But I think the biggest thing about the difference between him and Sean was the true accountability. Like Sean doesn't care if you're friends or not. Like he's treating this as a business. Like he wants to win. So he's holding everybody accountable, coaches, the training staff, the players, most importantly. So he builds this up to where everybody's accountable to each other. And I think that's the biggest thing. Cause I even heard, Jalen Ramsey was on the pivot and he was talking about how, he played so hard because he didn't want to let AD down. He didn't want to let Matthew Stafford down. And I felt that in a way because I remember playing and I was just like, man, like that's how I felt. Like I didn't want to let my guys that played next to me down. I knew, the workout regimen that AD did throughout the offseason. And for me to feel like, I was going to take a play off or I wasn't going to work as hard. I just knew how much he put into it. So I had to do the same. And that was for everybody in the whole facility. So that accountability factor that he brought in, I think that was the biggest change for us. We didn't need much. We're in St. Louis. We're playing all the good teams tough. We just needed a sense of accountability from everybody in the whole organization. And that's what you see now, man. From the top down, everybody's accountable to one thing, and that's winning.
Yeah, and Brock, I got to know about first impressions because I think for a lot of you guys, you're looking at this dude. He comes in 30 years old, younger than some of the players. I mean, what's the first thought that goes through your mind when you originally meet Sean McVay?
You think like just as young as me. Like, how can he tell me anything? I think we had Big Wit on our team, and he was older than Sean. So I was like, how could he tell Wit anything? I know he can't tell him nothing. So, but it was the fact that it was like almost your brother, it was like your brother who obviously he had a position, he had a title, but he didn't walk around with like, hey man, I'm this guy, that guy. Like he knew his position as the head coach, but I'm going to lead us in the right direction. And when you went out there, we practiced hard. We did everything, at a fast pace, and we went out there and started winning. And we were like, you know what? He's on to something. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely on to something. He's like the Mad Hatter, man. He's his mind is always going. He's always putting, us in these different situations. And we'll be like, the offense going on, situation drill, 1 minute, 30 seconds, no timeout, this and that, like, well, that'll never happen. Then all of a sudden the game happens and, we have 1 minute, 30 seconds. Our team goes down, everything happens like we practiced and we go out and win a game. And you see like, oh, that's what this guy is all about, man. He's all about making sure he covers his ass too. He covers his butt too. He doesn't want to go out and, have a letdown and, where a situation happens and we're not prepared for it. He always wanted to make sure that when we went out, he was prepared offensively to handle whatever happened. So for me, I think that was the biggest deal.
Yeah, once those dubs started racking up, you're like, hey, I don't care what this guy's doing, how he's doing it. It's working, and you're going to just follow that. And I always wondered, too, because, last couple of years, you brought in Michael LaFleur. He's had a larger role in the offense. Sean McVay has said a couple of times he's just bent over on the defensive side of the football a little more. Of course, you have Chris Shula, one of the best defensive minds in the game. But when you were there, what was his role? What was his presence like on the defensive side?
Who was that, Shula?
For McVay.
Oh, McVay. He was always learning. He's always learning. He's been around the game, since he was a little kid. So he's always willing to learn. The year we had Brandon Staley and we were running, we was the number one defense and things like that. He was always, wanting to know the reason why Staley did this or the reason why he did that, because, we coming from, off a Super Bowl loss, that we never seen the 6-1 and things like that. So he was like, hey, if this is what people are going to be doing to me, let me figure out how to counter this. So it's always that next step, stay 2 steps ahead. I'm going to always be prepared for anything that happens. And that's why you see his team win in close situations, close games. You see the Rams win most of those games because they're prepared for all those situations. And I think that's the biggest aspect he brought to the Rams organization as a head coach.
Yeah, Brock, the Rams struck absolute gold when they hired Sean McVay because they didn't just get a tactician, an X's and O's guy. They got a complete culture changer. He completely changed the culture of this organization, and he's on that all-time list of coaches that absolutely changed and impacted everything for the team. It's not like he entered a great situation. He entered a situation that, the ownership was willing to spend, and you're going to move to Los Angeles and all this great stuff, but it was also an organization that had not experienced a lot of postseason success for a long time. And he was able to not only get them to the playoffs, but gets them to a couple Super Bowls, wins one. And he has a chance to go down as one of the greatest coaches in NFL history if he coaches long enough. So let's hope he does. I still remember all the people around the league. Who is this guy? He's 30. Oh, he's too young. Who is this boy wonder, right? Is he old enough to drink? All the jokes, right? And he goes out there and he does what he's done, and he's just been amazing for this organization. But coming up next, we are going to get into the 2025 Rams. We're going to talk some of the hot storylines right now. That's coming up next on the Locked On Rams Squad Show. This episode of the Rams Squad Show is brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB. Make it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming MLB game. I'm looking at Dodgers fans going down to San Diego for this weekend NL West showdown series against the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers clinging on to first place, going up against San Diego. It's going to be electric down at Petco Park. They've had like 54 sellouts this year. So Dodgers fans, go down. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then, hey, you get to experience San Diego. So if you're tired of endless scrolling, try to find the best deal. Gametime Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. seat views right in the app before you buy, so you know exactly where you'll be. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, as far as this year's team and kind of the talk of this week, I mean, you got the last preseason game for the Rams. You got a lot of position groups that, there's some questions, but it's really just about kind of getting guys healthy and getting that next step. At this stage of preseason, kind of what's going through the mind of a veteran? Is it just kind of getting that body right, kind of getting the timing right, knowing you've got a long season ahead of you? But like for guys that aren't really worried about their role, their spot on the roster, just kind of what is this time period like for players like yourself that were going through it?
I mean, if you know that you're not practicing, you're definitely, getting ahead of the game. If I was a veteran playing for this team right now, I'll be watching all the Houston film. I'll be watching all Houston film from last year. I'll be watching the practice, from a couple years ago when they practiced versus the Texans, just to get a hint of like what their offense is preparing to do. What is CJ Stroud's, mannerisms, things like that. Like if you know you're a veteran guy, you're not going to be playing in this game. Definitely, take that time to be watching the next opponent that you will be facing. And that's the Houston Texans. And that's not a slouch team. Like you could just show up on Sunday, you'll beat them. That's a really good team, planning to be, go a long run in the AFC side in that division. So, if I was a veteran on this team right now, I'll definitely be looking at the Texans right now, watching film, getting ahead of the game because you're going to be playing in this preseason game.
Yeah, what was kind of like your film routine? Just kind of like you just get into that room and it just like it feels like you're there forever and you got a coach pointing things out. I mean, how does that process kind of work for someone that has just been in that room? Just kind of how does that start? Like, I mean, does it feel like you're going to class in college at LSU, but you're just going to be there all day and studying something you really want to study? You're just kind of like, what's the mindset going into that? And like, how big was it for you and your success?
To be honest with you, man, I learned a lot of that stuff from AD, man. I mean, I knew how to watch film and, understood like, I watched the run game, watched, the first 15, things like that. But truly learning my opponent, looking at the situations, hey, is it third down and 6? Is it second down and 10? Like, what are they running? Are they, just trying to get out of the down, or are they really trying to, press the ball down the field, things like that. So for me, it's watching all the opponents, watching who's playing, who's preparing, who I'm preparing to play, and then watching the next guy behind him. Like, that was my biggest pet peeve is, like a guy getting hurt, a starter getting hurt, and, the next guy comes in. I'm like, I'm lost to who this is. I don't know who this guy is. So I always found a way to watch the guy behind the starter just to make sure, hey, if he ever gets on that field or if something happens, I'll be prepared for him as well. So, it is a little bit like class, but I mean, when you're playing this game for money and it's your job and you want to go out there and perform well, you do whatever you have to do to perform well. And that's the difference between, the NFL and college is you don't have to go to class. So most of your class is watching the film and things like that. So definitely getting out there, making yourself better.
Yeah, I can only imagine what AD was like in those situations. Was he like vocal in the film room? Was he pointing things out? Was he making sure everyone stays focused? What kind of vibe? What do you bring to the table during those film sessions?
Very stoic, man. Very stoic, bro. He was such a great player, but everything in his mind was totally different than me, than how I would play it or things like that. So he was looking at little mannerism that he can get off the ball, or if somebody, he felt like a double team was coming, he can, swim it or whatever. He'll be writing little points, and it's crazy, like the way his notes would look. I was like, I couldn't read them because I'm like, dang, what is this little spider web? It's a little bubble over here, then there's a bubble on this, and then I'm like, I didn't understand his notes, but he did, and he took it extensively. Like he was there when the quarterbacks were there. He showed up early and left late, so that's why I commended him for everything he did throughout his career, because he was a great player, great athlete, and he was humble about it. He didn't really run his mouth in the locker room or in the meeting room and things like that. And, if it was, he did need some correction, he took it. So that's what I loved about AD, man. He was a humble guy, great player to be around.
Yeah, one of the best to do it. I mean, top two, not two, probably at his
Right.
position. One of the best in the game, right? But someone like yourself, I'm always curious. I mean, you throughout your whole life. I mean, high school, college, you play these big stadiums, big games. I mean, all these high stakes, and then all of a sudden you blink and it's the career's over, and then you kind of
Mhm.
make this next transition. I mean, you're doing great in the media. I'm sure that you have a lot of things going on. But what is it that you miss most about being an NFL player?
Hanging with the guys, man. Going out before the game. Going to dinner with the guys. Really, I think everything happens for a reason. And when I was traded and I went to that team, went to Detroit, and I led. Took the guys out to dinner and things like that. Like I miss that. I miss seeing their faces. Like, dang, this is what a NFL room is all about, the camaraderie and things like that. Then you go out there and then you dominate on Sunday and you're like, each other's, family and kids and wives and things like that. So I think you'll hear that statement from most players that are retired. Is just really the camaraderie in the room, man, the togetherness that you had, the times you go out together, you go on little D-line trips, things like that. That's what you miss the most. Obviously the game, playing the game, but you played the game so long, the football is never gonna change, but the guys in the room that you hung around, that we still keep a group chat to this day, from the old Rams team. Like we still have those group chats, and we click in here and there, but that's what you miss the most about the game. It's just the fellas that you played with.
You got to go in the war with your dudes. I got to ask you, Brock, who's the most active in that group chat?
Uh, man, we got guys like Will Hayes. We got guys like Robert Quinn, Chris Longa. Put some in the group. James Laurinaitis, like some OG Ram guys from St. Louis. So man, we all get active. Soon as somebody texts and say something funny, we'll start. I'll get in there, send a GIF or whatever, and it'll start a whole theme and thread throughout the group chat. So for me, it's just that's the guys that you kind of went to war. I don't want to say war because it's nothing compared to war, but that's the ones you went to battle on the football field with, man, and that's what you remember the most about those guys.
Yeah, I'm sure it picks up too once the season starts or some big thing happens, and then just like all of a sudden, I think James Laurinaitis like coaching at Ohio State now or something like that. If anyone asks you if there's a percentage chance of AD unretiring, is it 0% in your eyes?
I think it's 0%, man. I just know how much of a family man he is, and I know how much time he took and sacrificed to play this game. And like I said, man, he would show up early and leave late. So that was a lot of time away from his family that he missed and that he cherishes. So for me, I think he just loves being the family man he is. He loves being a dad. He loves hanging out with his kids, showing up to their games and doing little things like that. So for me, I would say a 0% chance in him, returning, just based off of, his love for his family right now. He has all the time in the world just to hang out with his kids and things like that. And I know that that's what he cherishes the most is being with his family. So for me, 0%, but who knows, man? They get Micah Parsons, he might be doing some workouts at his home right now.
I know the last thing would be the funniest thing would have been if the Rams found a way to trade for Micah Parsons. He's like, I was just kidding, man. I didn't believe. Did you believe me? You guys made that move because he doesn't. So yeah, I mean, I've accepted it. I like the fact that it almost has this like Barry Sanders lore to it. You know what I mean? It's like we never saw him like fall off. You know what I mean? It was like He was great at the beginning, great in the middle, great in the end. There wasn't this, oh man, like like Aaron Rodgers, for example, right? I mean, when Aaron Rodgers was at his best, it was like no one even debated. I mean, it was like him and Brady, right? And then now it's like he's played so many years after his prime that it's like, man, like you kind of forget how good he was. So it's like I kind of like that about AD.
Yeah, it's same here. Like I think he what he wanted to do was go in, come to this Rams organization, change it around, win a championship, and leave out. Go out into the sunset, and he did exactly that. So, and he even played an extra year just to show Sean some love. So for me, man, he did everything he wanted to do in the league, and I mean, more power to him, man. I love where he is right now. I've never seen him smile more in my lifetime of playing with him, and he's happy right now.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he'd go in there right now and get triple teamed and still find a way to get to QB. He'd still find a
Oh,
way
for
to get
sure.
home. Now, as far as the current defensive line, you got Kobe Turner, you got Braden Fisk, you got Poona Ford, you got some big bodies that have been tasked with the impossible challenge of trying to fill AD's shoes. And certainly one guy can't do it by himself, but I think the quick turnaround, the guys they've drafted, the guys they've developed, they've really impressively put together one of the better defensive line units in the league in just a couple years. When you look at that group, I want to ask you specifically about Kobe Turner. It feels like he's kind of becoming the vocal leader of this group. He's continued to emerge. Is there anything kind of stands out when you watch his game?
I love how, like I said, how humble he is, man. He took a lot of guidance under AD, and AD took him under his wing, and you can kind of tell like he has that same kind of demeanor to him. He's vocal, but he'd rather go out there and show you. He'd rather go out there and lead by example, and I love that for him. I love who he is as a person. He's unapologetically him. And that's what I love about him. And, he goes out there, dominates, and then, he's out there singing in a choir or something. And I love that for him because he doesn't care about who, football player is supposed to be this, type of guy, man. He is who he is. And that's what I love about the Rams, man. They allow you to be you through and throughout the organization. As long as you show up on game day ready to play, you can be whoever you are. And that's what I love about McVay and his staff and the whole Rams organization.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that you brought that up. The fact that this dude could literally win Grammys. I mean, I need to see this dude drop a Christmas album. I need a Christmas album, or I need them to do the Just Ram It 2.0, like that song they did with Dickerson, the gang back in the day,
Yes.
have him be the lead singer. Makes me wonder, Brock, do you have any hidden talents like Kobe Turner singing? I mean, I'm sure you got something.
Man, no hidden talents, dog. Man, me for the most part, man, I'm just, I used to dominate, the line of scrimmage, and other than that, man, I'm just a father, bro. No hidden talents here, man.
Hey, man, I'm sure you got something up your sleeve. We'll get out of you. But, yeah, I mean, one thing I was going to ask you, too, I mean, Braden Fisk, I mean, a guy that a lot of people are like, wait a minute, the Rams traded that much to go up and get him. It was one of the biggest trade-ups that you've had in the last decade when they picked him up in the draft a couple years ago. He's playing with his boy, Jared Verse, and both of them have had success. Everyone talks about the potential that Jared Verse has, and rightfully so. He's got Defensive Player of the Year level upside, but Braden Fisk, he finished third for Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. He's shown a lot of growth. Have you ever gotten a chance to kind of play with a teammate that you had in college like that? And do you think that has an impact? I mean, it's kind of wild that both those guys are at FSU dominating. Now they're dominating together with the Rams.
I mean, you can't take that away. You can't take the time that they spent together, at FSU and now in the league. There's things that they probably little hand signals, little things that they know that they probably carried from FSU to the league that, they might run a TE stun or an exit or text or whatever. And, those are things that, you can just hint at, this guy, you've been playing with him for a couple of years in college and now you're in the league. So those things you can carry up. So for me, it's like you can't take that for granted, is that time that they spent playing, together at, FSU. So I love it. I love the fact that the Rams did that because you don't see teams do that a lot. But to keep that D-line together, those are two great players, and you've seen it last year. And I just think they're going to get better.
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to switch to a little talk about the offensive side of the football. One of our favorite players early on is injured, and his roster stats could be in jeopardy. Talking about our guy, Willie Lampkin. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And welcome back to Locked On Rams Squad Show. All right, so, Brock, we were so hype on Willie Lampkin. Now he's dealing with a couple injuries, going to be out for a couple of weeks. Do you think that has anything to do with the size? I mean, I don't think it does, but I mean, it's a little discouraging to see our guy kind of going down at this stage of the preseason, hoping that he can find a spot in this roster.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen it in his face, during the game, seeing him walk off, with my guy Byron. Shout out to my guy Byron, not that whole training staff. I used to be in the training room all the time, just BSing. But I seen him walking off the field, and I was like, dang, he had that look on his face like, this could be it, but, I just want to encourage him, man, just to stay after it, get right, get healed up. And like I preached to the D-line before, man, put great things. I think he put a lot of great things on film already. The little time that he did have to showcase his skill. He put some great things on film. So for me, I know based off that film, any team in this league is going to give him a try. So if it's not the Rams, somebody else will pick him up, get him back going, and see what he has to give to that organization. So, I was really high on him because I felt like, he's a great player. He's a gem. That's what the Rams are known for. They're the hidden gems that nobody else goes after. They take and get and develop. So I see him as a guy that, the Rams might keep around just to develop, keep him on the practice squad, get him used to, the offense and things like that. And if something happens, he can be battling for that spot next year. But I definitely see him being, I see a positive future for him.
Yeah, I love you bring that up because, it'd be one thing if this happened in practice and he ever got to show that in a game, but the fact that he showed that in a game, if it's just one time he popped it so hard that there's going to be teams that are going to give him looks. The Rams also know how to identify talent. They know the quality that they could have in him. So who knows? But just kind of one of those things, another reminder of how cruel and brutal the National Football League can be, right? 1 minute you're dominating, the next minute you're like, oh, am I going to be on this roster? The NFL comes at you quick. I know you got to run pretty soon, but I got a question for you, Brock. I don't know if you're into predictions. We're getting close. I think we'll do the full prediction show maybe next week. But what gives you confidence that the Rams go on a deep run this year and make it back to the Super Bowl? What are some things you look at specifically kind of about this team that give you some hope that the Rams are back and hoisting that Lombardi trophy once again this year?
I look at the adversity that they faced last year. There were a lot of questions in the middle of that season if the Rams would, be, even a contender, even going to the playoffs. And they happened to pull those games to go into San Fran, beat San Fran, things like that. Man, they have faced a lot of adversity. To be a young team, young teams usually they can't handle that. Usually it gets to a point where, late in the season, you're not used to playing 17 games, 18 games. You get that lull, you hit that wall. It's like, oh man, we got 6 more games. We didn't play 13 games or whatever. And now we got, you tell me we got 6 more games or whatever. We got to go to the playoffs. Like, it's a lot of games. And for them to pull themselves up, pull their bootstraps up and say, hey, we're going to go get this thing, go into the playoffs, and then they go for a long run. Man, it just showed that this team is ready to handle any situation that, comes up and, heads their way. And like I said, they're a young team. They handled that as sophomores and rookies. Just imagine now they have that confidence that they can play in this league and they can play together. They have Matthew Stafford. They've added Devontae Adams. Man, if the X factor is the injury bug. That's for every team. That's for every franchise. That's the X factor. But if they can stay healthy, man, I can see this team going a long way.
Yeah, but I love that you mentioned that because I don't think a lot of people are bringing that up. They just expect, teams are going to make it to the playoffs. Teams are going to do that multiple years consecutively. The truth is, you made it as a surprise team a couple years ago. Then you had some expectations, but you still weren't the favorites. And last year, you got off to a slow start, then found a way to win your division, win a playoff game, and then you had the eventual Super Bowl champs on the ropes with a chance to beat them in the snow in Philly. So what you're telling me is that these battle scars that teams have, they bleed into next season, and it could be a positive thing, right? Because you've experienced those moments, you're using it as fuel. Like, how much can the previous season's playoff experience impact kind of future moments? It sounds to me that it's pretty significant.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for me, when we lost that Super Bowl in 2018, man, it fueled a fire in me, I think, and a lot of guys in the room, because we felt like, oh man, we were so close, and obviously the next year we didn't go back, but to have that feeling of like, man, like we are there. If we here, there, we execute here, we execute there, we're champions. So that fuels that fire. And I just know for this young team to see like, man, we're rookies, sophomores, a lot of guys like that. And we went and took the Super Bowl champions to the ropes, in Philly, in the snow. Cali teams aren't supposed to be able to play in the snow. And then to go out there and really have Philly back against the wall in Philly, man, that just shows you like, hey, we execute here and there. It's a different story. So for me, man, having Matthew Stafford, all that experience, Devontae Adams, all that experience, You got Puka now, and then you got this young defensive line, getting after you. Man, I think this Rams team is going to be a force to reckon with. If they put everything together, like we don't know, we're just making a prediction. But if they put everything together, I can see them going on the long run.
Yeah, and then trust me, I think predictions are a little overrated. I saw like Tom Brady, got asked about a bunch of predictions. He's just like, I'm not a big predictions guy because ultimately it's going to be the players that are going to decide this. My role in predictions is I'll make them, but I'll only bring them up if I was right. You know what I mean? If I was wrong, I don't even act like I never even said it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you only hear guys when they're right, like talk about their predictions, right? And at the end of the day, it's like there's so much football to be played. It's like it's a cliche, but it's the truth. It's who's the healthiest team at the best time. But I do kind of feel like the Rams, I don't want to say they want the Eagles, but I feel like if they did face the Eagles again, last year's experience would help them because of familiarity and just like, I mean, that's another thing too. It's like, can you actually dig deeper because of motivation? Because you guys are already, like you said, you're playing for money, right? You're already like, the top 1%, way less than that about what you do. It's like, can you find those little things that give you an edge in those moments?
For sure. I mean, before I made it to the playoffs, you kind of get this concept of like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna play in the season and I'm ready to go to Cancun. You kind of have that thought process. But then when you get to the playoffs and you feel those lights and you feel that atmosphere, and I'm like, this is the playoffs. Like it felt totally different. Like I swear to you, people won't think like that, but like it felt totally different than the regular season. Like it. When veterans told me that before I got to the playoffs, I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever, man. Football is football, but it's something about the wild card, and then you go to the divisional round. It's like they bring in more lights or something. It's like they add like more lights to the stadium. Like it's way more brighter. Guys are flying around. Faster. I'm like, what is this? Like, why does it feel so different than the regular season? And it's because it's do or die. It's do or die. You if you don't win this game, you go home. So guys are flying around, throwing their bodies, putting their bodies on the line because they know if I don't catch this pass, if I don't make this tackle, I'm going home, and I don't want to go home. I have a chance to win a championship. I want to continue to move forward throughout this process. So for me, it's getting that little taste of the playoffs and the fact that this team got it so young, and it's like, oh man, they have that feeling of playing in the playoffs. It's almost like, the beginning of the Kansas City dynasty that we've seen. When they start to taste that playoff every year, it's like, oh man, we're going to the playoffs. It's like no doubt about it. We're going. We practice well. We have situational guys who are ready and experienced. We're going to the playoffs. This is about, can we win the big game? Now I think that's the same thing for this Rams team, especially being so young. They have that little taste of the playoffs. They went on a little run last year, and I just know they feel like, oh man, hey, if we can get it together this year, hey, we're gonna be hosting that Lombardi. So for me, man, I think that was the biggest thing for them is just having that experience at such a young state in their career in the league.
The playoffs just hit different, right? I mean, you hear players talk about it like it's addicting, like it's playing in the playoffs, competing for Super Bowls, especially when you guys are already like Kyron Williams, right? He's already gotten his bag, Now he's probably like, it's about legacy, it's about just Pro Bowls and just winning. And like at the end of the day, it's like all these guys, I mean, you're well paid, but that's what I love about the sport. I mean, dudes want to win, and that's like the great dudes, the great teams have like the most dudes that like it means something to them, right?
Yes,
but
for sure. I mean, when you have everybody on the same page, wanting to win a championship, wanting to feel that confetti. I think our coach always talks about, man, I just want you to feel that confetti, see that confetti fall over you, and then to see my guy AD on the field, just crying, and he's seen the confetti. I'm like, man, that's what everybody wants, man. I was just watching him. Like I said, I won, man. He won, I won as well. All inside, because that team, I know where we came from, man. We came from, the trenches of not, not being seen in the league or not being a threat. And then now you're hosting that Lombardi up, and, I can just see it now, the Rams doing it one more time for the good boys in LA, man. So, I look forward to it.
Yeah, five tackles in that Super Bowl against the Patriots. Both of us have combined to play in exactly one Super Bowl. in this show, and it was the great Michael Brockers. But Brock, we know you got to roll. We'll catch you after the game this weekend. And yeah, we're getting close, man. Like it's so close now that it's going to start and it's going to be a blur. But cannot be more excited to have you rock with us here at the Mob Squad. We'll have Gavin back, and yeah, man, Rams football is on the way. And you already made me more hyped than I already was about the start of the season, knowing that, hey, Super Bowl, it could happen. It is going to happen, right? I'm going to LeVar Ball manifest this thing, okay? Rams Super Bowl this year. Let's do it. But Brock, we'll catch you next week. And coming up next on Locked On Rams, we're going to take a look at some of these position battles that will be decided this weekend. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. This episode of the Rams Squad Show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. It's the best time of the year. NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, myself, Brock, Gavin, Travis, the whole team here at Locked On Rams and the Rams Squad Show, we're playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years, and the updates they're rolling out this month are wild in the best way possible. One of my favorite features, the new Guillotine Leagues, they just dropped. It's really, really cool. Every week, the lowest scoring team is eliminated, and the last one standing wins. It's like the Squid Game for fantasy football. Whether you're all in on something new or you like sticking to head-to-head leagues or jumping into public leagues, Yahoo's got you covered. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues like we just talked about, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. With the season around the corner, now's the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And welcome back to the Locked On Rams Squad Show. My man Michael Brockers will be back after this weekend's game against the Browns, the last preseason game, and so will Gavin Carlson. So it's just me, your boy, and let's talk some Rams football. By the way, if you guys are new to this new Rams Squad Show, this is going to be an every week thing multiple times a week. So we've got a midweek show and we've got a post-game show. So you're going to see one episode, 1 hour with the three of us during the week, usually dropping on Thursdays, and then also right after the game, all throughout the regular season, in the postseason. So get ready because, hey, we got a player, man. Michael Brockers, it's been so much fun to get to know him and really talk ball with him. And look, man, I know all the numbers. I know all the stats. I know everything about the roster. I got my takes, but he's had his cleats on the grass. He's gone out and played in these stadiums and played in these moments. So it's really awesome to get that unique perspective. It's been so much fun, man. Brock is my guy, and I think you guys are going to absolutely love having that perspective all season long, and Gavin Carlson's the man as well. But all right, so let's dive into some of these position battles that you got to look for the last preseason game. We'll start with the running back spot. I mean, you look at where it's at. The three are set at Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, and Jarquez Hunter. But after that, there are some decisions that they are going to have to consider because you don't have a million roster spots. There is a limited amount of roster spots you can have for that running back spot. And it makes you wonder, do you need to keep 4 running backs? Because if they do, and they consider that, and that's the direction they want to go, well, it could be between Ronnie Rivers and Cody Schrader. So Rivers has been dealing with a rib injury that he's been dealing with ever since the first preseason game. And Schrader, he's looked good. He's been productive. He's moved the ball. He's caught the ball. He's provided a little spark. And Rivers has more experience, more familiarity with this organization, with this offense. But Schrader, I think, he's popped more. He has a higher ceiling. He's got more of a burst to him. So I do think that if they do consider 4 running backs, that Schrader has earned the spot. I mean, it's tough for Rivers because he's been injured, but I think that Schrader has done what players that are on the bubble need to do during preseason, and that is make that extra play, have that extra moment, just have that extra feel where it feels like, okay, there's something about you on this field that's providing a spark, and Schrader has done that. And you only have 3 games to do it now, and he's done it in a couple games, and I think if they take 4, he'll be the guy. Then there is the defensive line. Let's talk about that a little bit. So same thing goes with the top of the defensive line. You've got Kobe Turner. You've got Poona Ford, who they brought in to stuff the run. Then you've got second-year standout Braden Fisk. Those guys, of course, are going to be the starters along the line. And then there's Tyler Davis, who is a lock to secure spot on that 53-man roster. You've also got Ty Hamilton, who should be there as well. But how about after that? Because, I mean, Ty Hamilton has played really well. They moved up to get him. They have said a lot of great things about him, about his improvement, his development. So, they're going to keep him on. But after that, I mean, Desjuan Johnson. I mean, he had a really, really strong performance in the second game against the Chargers. Laurel Murchison, he's someone that the Rams have felt really good about as far as their player development. And you also got undrafted rookie Jack Heflin and Bill Norton. They've had some moments as well. So the question with this one is, do the Rams keep Desjuan Johnson and Murchison? If they keep Murchison, I mean, that's behind the top 5 dudes. So, I mean, would it be an undrafted rookie that would surpass them? I kind of doubt that. So I think those guys are pretty much solidified as depth pieces. But, hey, like I said, a lot can happen in one game in the preseason. There's a lot of weight that's put into your performance. And not just that, but also what coaches have seen from you during these joint practice sessions as well. So that's one to follow. Then how about the edge rusher spot? So we know edge rusher spot, you got the starting top 2. Of course, Jared Verse wins the Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. I think, who knows, everything breaks right and he improves, takes a step forward, could win the Defensive Player of the Year. I know he'd be a long shot, but I do think that's the kind of upside and ceiling that he has. Byron Young as well. And then how about Josiah Stewart, rookie out of Michigan? He was really good in their first game. He got the sack and we got home, and you saw the strength and the tenacity that he plays with. And I think this one is more interesting than some of the other ones just because we're going to see this guy play, because Michael Hoyt no longer on this team. He's not the number 3 edge rusher. So you got to put them in a position to not only make this team, but hey, you're going to get some snaps. You're going to have some moments. If guys go down, you got to step up. You're higher on the depth chart. An injury that's impacting this decision is Kair Thomas. He has been placed on the injured reserve, so that's going to pretty much make it easier for them because it's one less guy you have to worry about, but it's not as clear as a Brennan Jackson or Nick Hampton who are both battling for the team. So you could take both now that Thompson is on the IR. Now that Thomas is on the IR, but still, you're going to have to figure some things out. So that's another one to look out for. So, yeah, there's some good amount of position battles that are still going on. You got the cornerback spot's really interesting as well because it's kind of right there for guys after the big ones. But you also don't have those, like, Jared Verses, right? Those Kobe Turners in this group. Like, if someone were to emerge, they would get an opportunity if the guys in front of them were just playing average or occasionally playing below average. Because you look at the top, you got Darius Williams, Akella Witherspoon, Kobe Durant. Those guys are locked. Emmanuel Forbes, he's a lock in my opinion because you picked him up on waivers. He's added weight. He's a big development experiment project. But after that, it's a lot of dudes. Darion Kendrick, Charles Woods, Josh Wallace, Cam Lampkin, A.J. Green, Sean Jolly. All those guys have just been stuck in that bucket right there. You've got Lampkin and Wallace, who played well in the Rams' first preseason game, and then Woods and Green of that group, they played better in week 2. And then you've got Sean Jolly and Darion Kendrick, who have had their ups and downs, but they also have a lot of familiarity and experience in this organization. So we'll see who the Rams select as far as who are going to be their depth pieces at cornerback. But you're going to at least see one of those dudes make that team, with a couple of them being on the practice squad. So my guess, I mean, you have to think that Darion Kendrick, I mean, they bring him back. They really like him. He's physical. I like Darion Kendrick at the end of the day, and you're kind of just hoping that Emmanuel Forbes emerges, and that's kind of the big plus for the cornerback spot in this one. For the offensive line, that's another one to keep tabs on down the stretch, because Sean McVay has said some positive things about Alaric Jackson to play in week 1. But if he can't be ready to go and he starts the year on the PUP list, well, then you kind of have to bring some dudes up. You have to move some things around. If he's on the PUP, that definitely changes the outlook and the calculus of this group. I still am holding out hope that he's going to be okay. By every indication, that is the feeling right now. And I certainly, if I had to guess, I just think that they caught it early enough. They've been handling it well. And I think he's going to be in there. But if he's not, and you got to look at this group, well, DJ Humphries, he's the backup guy. They brought him in specifically to do that. Veteran, Pro Bowler back in the day. He's someone that's looked good in the joint practice sessions. He's been the dude who's filled in for Alec Jackson throughout training camp. Then you got David Questenberry. He's another guy that has gotten some first-team opportunities. They've been using him in those first-team reps as well. Then there's Warren McClendon Jr. So can all three of them make it? I think it depends. But you also got KT Leafston. He's been solid, too. I mean, he's had some moments. So you got those guys on the tackles. And then on the interior, you got Justin Dedich, Bo Limmer, Willie Lampkin, and Dylan McMahon. Those are guys that could be backups. We know Willie Lampkin's just dealt with that injury that's really going to limit his ability to do anything else as far as showing him what they could do. So we'll see what happens with that. He's going to miss the next couple of games. So he could be put on the injured reserve as well. So that's something that they consider. But yeah, there's still moves to be made. There's still positions to be won. And yeah, it's not starting spots really per se. But yeah, when you talk about this entire roster, there are depth moves that can be made. And I think, too, when you look at this Rams team, this is a team that, yeah, I mean, you want to stay as healthy as you can, right? But in the blink of an eye, things can change. So, yeah, it might feel like these guys don't matter now, but all of a sudden they could. It's like that meme, oh, I just became important at my job, right? And that could be the case with some of these guys. So it's always important to follow. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Rams Squad Show. Guys, gals, the Ramley, we're getting so close. We're getting so close to the regular season. But you got one more preseason game left. We'll see how this roster fills out. Hopefully Matthew Stafford can continue to make progress and get into the swing of things. And hopefully, too, Alaric Jackson, who we just talked about, another key guy that the Rams need ready to roll to start the year. But that's going to do it. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. For Brock, my man Michael Brockers, go give him a follow. Gavin Carlson as well. We'll be back with you after Saturday's game against the Browns. And until next time, whose house is Locked On Rams house?